All right, it's time for our review of this section. This was a quick section, I think. Went pretty fast. Float, 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 float. Wasn't too much to learn about float, right? All you have to know is that when you float something, you can float it to the left, you can float it to the right, and when you float it, it takes out the normal document flow. And when it's floated, that means anything that's text or an inline element is going to wrap around whatever's floated. And we have that right here. So I was just wondering if that's the point. I should pause and read this. The float CSS property specifies an element should be taken from the normal flow and placed along the left or right side of its container, where text and inline elements will wrap around it. And then we also learned that if the floated element is larger than its container, that floated element's going to overflow the container. But we could get that fixed by putting overflow auto onto the container, and then the container will grow to fit the floated content. So overflow is a property, auto is the value. And then we learned that we could clear floats. So if we have something floated and things are sliding up underneath it and we don't want something to slide up underneath it, we just go clear both and it like hits it and it stops. So that's kind of cool. So we learned about the float property, and left, right, and none are the settings. We didn't look at none at all. I'm going to leave that up to you to explore that and see what happens and go read about it at MDN. And floating an element, image, overflow, clearing a float, clear, left, right, both. And then I just put this down here because they are new CSS properties and we've learned them. And I included their values because their values are like so strongly associated. Float left, right, clear left, right, both. So if it just says float or clear, I don't know. I found that some people like forget that, oh, right, those are CSS properties and they have values. So there they are. Anyhow, that is the float section, and you're doing great. We've learned so much. Like if you go back and look at the index for this entire course, yeah, and it's been a marathon. There's been a lot of hours. But actually, it's less hours than in the classroom because it's just like concentrated. And I've had to like figure out like how do I say it in each little step and put that into a video. And there's no like driving to class and parking and then sitting in class and talking to people while I'm like whatever up at the front and then like waiting for the entire class period to be over or doing exercises and waiting for everybody else to finish and you got done. And it's like, 2 hours twice a week, 4 hours for 17 weeks. That's 40, 28, 68 hours of class in the classroom in one semester, not counting finals week, 68 hours. And then you got like a half hour each side coming and going at least. Let's say it's an hour, right? Let's just say it's a half hour. So you got 68, 4 times 17, plus a half hour coming and going. So that's another 2 hours a week. That's another 34 hours of like commute time each day. Half hour coming, half hour going back. That's 2 hours every week. That's 34. 34 plus 68, 98, 102 hours if you're to take this class at the college or the university. 102 hours. And so like we're at whatever hour we're at. And so it's not to discount, but like you are getting a good deal. I'm talking with Sass. I don't know why. I was hanging out with my friend and he's a totally sassy chef. If you ever like want to, chefs are, they could talk smack. And he was talking, yeah. So I think that rubbed off on me a little bit. Anyhow, here is everything we've learned. I mean, just check it out. Like just stop for a moment, pat yourself on the back. You definitely deserve to celebrate, go out to dinner, go to a movie. You have my full endorsement and encouragement. Or at least go to the fridge and get a drink and take a leak. Sorry, a little crass. Like I said, I was hanging out with the ribald chef. And so, yeah, we have learned so much from getting started and status codes and like changing a page, right-clicking it and inspecting, right? And getting into developer tools and playing the dinosaur game and man, so much stuff. So you've done great. HTML essentials, right? Tags versus elements, CSS essentials, the entire rule set thing, and then starting to learn properties, which we use in declarations and setting values to them, right? And right, wow, just so much structuring documents, semantic HTML, layout fundamentals, box model, right, and display property, and box sizing border box and flex box, and media queries and Flexbox design patterns and layout with position and layout with float. It's like, whoa, you've done great. I've done great. Structuring this? Are you kidding me? Like, if you want to just check something out, you could go to Amazon and just look at some of the books, like HTML, CSS, and we want to see it in books. So I guess we're in books. But I'm trying to find the one that's there's Shay House, that's great. This one's really good. These people are in Fresno. I've met with them before. They're great. I forget the publisher. It's Pearson Web Design. Anyhow, the point of my story is that there are so many crap books out there, and the college books, horrible. So anyhow, we've done great. You've learned a lot of material. You're continuing to do great. Just stick with it, and drop by drop, that bucket's getting filled, and you're making headway, and you're learning, and you know so much more than you knew when you started. And it's just going to become second nature to you after time. So just stick with it. You're doing great. And, before you know it, we're going to be building awesome sites very soon. I have no idea what's next. I got to sit back and think about that and look at all of my code resources and figure out what I want to give to you next. So that's what I'm going to do right now. It's going to be a surprise, at least for me and maybe you. Maybe you're looking ahead wherever this is playing right now and you can see it, but I don't know yet. So I'm going to go figure it out. That was rambly. All right. Sometimes I just like to chill out. It's nice, right? Just sometimes. It's kind of a strange thing, isn't it? It's a little bit weird. I'm in a box. I'm looking at a camera. But in some way, I'm transmitting my humanity to you. And then just to have that direct eye contact, I'm just looking at a camera, but you're seeing me, but I'm not seeing you. But I know that somebody's on the other side of that watching, that you are. Though I don't know who you are or where you are in the world. It's a trip. It's a trip of a world, right? Pretty different. All right. See ya in the next video.